And we are live.
Okay, I just had to change the screen. So welcome along to day 4 of the W Productivity for Life Challenge. And we're a little bit excited. So yes, today we're going to be looking at the all-important to-do lists are garbage. Isn't that pretty powerful? I love it when
garbage. You said it properly. Garbage. You could also say to-do lists suck, but that's not as politically correct. Maybe it's garbage.
Yeah, to-do lists are crap. I don't know. You can say lots of things. But yeah, let's just roll straight into it because we have a lot to get through today because we have something really cool to share with you as well. And yeah, it all starts with just this simple little sleight of mouth, as Jason calls it. We don't really want to spend a lot of time on this one. I mean, I've highlighted a few things, but basically you need to read the book. So if you haven't got your book yet, we don't want to harp on it every day, but we will. dypchallenge.com, get your copy of your book. And a few things that are happening behind the scenes with regards to the book is we're actually getting an audio version recorded. So whoever it is you'd like to listen to, or whether it's both of us again. And we also are going to be putting together a little package that is going to be part of a prize towards the end of the week, where we can measure how and who has been able to double their productivity, or at least made a significant increase, taken on some of these tips, re-looked at how they're actually rolling out their profitable tasks. So sleight of mouth. How about a must get done list instead of a to-do list?
I wanted to start with this because this is me and you going above and beyond what Jason teaches in the book, because you can read the book, right? So I wanted to first start with the power of words. Do not underestimate the power of words. One way is ancient writing said that the power of life and death, the life and death is in the power of the tongue. That means you can speak life or you can speak death. And the second thing I had down here is that wordplay is powerful for getting leverage on yourself and others. Yourself when you're trying to motivate yourself to be more productive, or when you're leading others, whether to persuade them to take your offer and a product or service, or their team that works for you and you're trying to lead them. Words are very, very important.
Yeah, and for those who are watching this that did take part in the Unite Challenge, we spent a lot of time looking at language in there, because you can actually say a certain word and almost even connect to a part of your body that word holds some sort of energy, some sort of power, some sort of disappointment, all kinds of things. So there is a metaphysical aspect to certain words. And I mean, I'm not going to rattle off a bunch of words at the moment because it can be, and we kind of touched on that yesterday, even with the for some people perhaps decide is a little bit too final, because it's pretty much what it means. It's final, and if you're going to make a decision, you've got to stick to it. Don't go back on it. But if you prefer to choose, then you can stay in the flow of choices, and again, perhaps not swapping and changing. The point of it about being productive is to be able to make those choices with ease, using your intuition, and keep flowing.
So we're not here to talk about all words. We're out to talk about a couple sets of words specifically. So if you're saying if to-do lists are garbage, then what are you suggesting to replace it with? We're not saying don't have a list of things that you need to get done, but it's what you call it that matters. So it's a little bit of semantics, but don't underestimate the power of when you call something a to-do list, you make it in your mind optional. But when you call it a must get done list, it becomes mandatory. And don't underestimate the power of the subconscious to process different words and phrases and give them different meaning.
So what I really like, the one part I am going to read from here is actually, Jason says here, what I do write on a piece of paper of my must get done items are at the top, and at the bottom, I write things I'd like to do today. So the things I'd like to do today list. And that pretty much gives permission to not have to do everything that he puts on the list. Furthermore, he likes to put his fun-related business stuff on the things I'd like to do today. So it's kind of like a reward to be able to make sure you get your must-get-dones and then have some fun with the things I'd like to do.
Yeah, there's A and a B. A must get done or somebody dies. I mean, not literally, but you can kind of make it that severe. Versus things I'd like to do. So then you give yourself permission to goof off or slack on the ladder. And then that gives you freedom and fun, right? Because you get to schedule things that are fun because you were so dadgum productive when you gave yourself, no out. Because the problem is there's this inner conflict. I had it in college, I've had it in business, is when you're not present to the task. So there are so many businessmen, and I'm speaking for men, it probably happens with women. When you're at work, you're not thinking about work because you're guilty about how you haven't been showing up with your family. But when you're with your family, you're not present with them because you're guilty about all the work you ain't got done. And so what he's giving himself permission to do is be present for the tasks that must get done and get them done. And then there's so much, you're congruent, you're free, you don't have that inner conflict, and then you can go have fun, whether it's with your kids or your family or doing something you like to do in your business.
So there's two things we've touched on in the previous days this week. The first one is the metaphysical weight of what can sit on the to-do list that just keeps swapping forward to the next day if you do roll them forward, or sitting in your diary, moving them forward, whatever. There's a metaphysical weight that you will carry with that. And if you want to lighten up, if you want to free your energy to have more of your must get dones getting done, then you need to reframe what is on those to-do lists. Either look at it and say, is it really that important that I keep moving it forward and I don't get it done? Can you outsource it? Can you write it off? Can you reframe it? Can you just stick it on the must get done for tomorrow and shift it out and remove it? So that's the first thing. And the second thing, I forget what it was. So you've got to roll over.
I was going to say, it's funny you brought that up because that was a little bit extra, but that's what we do, right? Is that weight you carry, that burden that you've got, like the weight of all the stuff you haven't got done on your back, and it's not serving you. So one of my many mentors I've studied said, you just get a piece of paper and you jot down like everything you've ever thought you need to get done. And then you look at that and at first you're overwhelmed, but that's not the point. It's to get it out, to take the monkey off your back and set it in front of you. And then you go through and remember I said the eliminate, automate, or delegate. First thing is, does that even need doing? Nope. Can I automate it or delegate it? Is there somebody could do it better than me and almost as good as me, but it would free me up? And then there's a system that I can put in place and automate it. And then the stuff that needs that. So there's stuff that's left over. You can't eliminate it. There's nobody else that can do it. Not yet, because you haven't developed that system and you haven't developed the system to automate it. Then you just got to sit down and do it. And then you get the stuff that you could just chunk off done. Right. And then that frees you up to get into this type of flow and this level.
Yeah, and the key point in what you're just saying there is actually it may not be the case of getting that thing done. It's like you say, no, I haven't developed the system for that yet.
Right.
So whether it is the system for the learning or the system for the outsourcing or the system for, just getting rid of it, like, again, develop the system so that you know how to be able to.
So one of the best stories Stephen Covey ever told, 7 Habits, Highly Effective People, very famous dude, guy, in case you didn't know who I was talking about, Stephen J. Covey. He said that if you walk by a guy who's trying to saw a tree and he's just sweats when he's working as hard as he can, but he ain't getting anywhere because his saw is so dull. And you say, hey, bro, it looks like you ought to take a little time and sharpen that saw. And he goes, I ain't got time. I got to cut this tree down. You never go. So he's saying sometimes you got to take time to sharpen the saw. It seems like you don't have time, but you don't have time not. And you got to decide what part of your life is dull and how you need to sharpen it, which is.
Well, my favorite saying, and I've lived this, I've had direct experiences of this, that you need to sometimes, well, actually most often, slow down to speed up.
Yeah.
And that being present thing is the perfect example of that. And the thing that came to me just as you were talking about the being present with your family or being present at the task or the work that you're doing is, just always keep in the back of your mind, like, am I being present right now? Because if I was flying a plane or driving a race car, or I was a passenger in a race car and he decided to start thinking about his laundry and whatever else as he's taking that corner, like, you want whoever is in control of some sort of speed vehicle to be completely present with what they're doing. So you need to remember that and be present. And slowing down is amazing. When you do slow down and take time off, there is nothing better than going, right, finally, I need to take a break, whether you actually hit burnout or you just need to schedule it in, take some time out. And when you first get your, I don't know, let's call it a sale, like that ding on your phone, as we talked about the other day as well. Yeah. When you get a sale or something happens in your business without you physically having to be there, mind-blowing stuff. It's
Yeah.
just like the best feeling in the world.
So when you're going to get up and start in your state of flow, because see, this always cumulative builds on itself, deadlines, systems, and now we talk about how getting into a flow state is that's not the time to create the list that must get done. You need to do that the night before. The last thing you want to do, remember we talked about decision fatigue. The last thing you want to do is hijack your state of flow by deciding what to work on. And I got an example that happened to me this morning. You want people to give examples of, hey, this is what happened to me when I try to get in flow state. We'll get to that in a little bit. But you've got to create the list the night before. If you show up to get in the flow and you haven't decided what to do, now you've created a pinch point, a hindrance, a rusty place. So the most important thing during flow state is to do it first thing in the morning. I think we've already established that.
Look, I mean, and it's about that direct experience again, to be able to say, is that the right time for you? I mean, one thing that Jason has actually identified in here as well is that, when he does a webinar presentation, and, for us even going live and getting into a flow state by doing this, we're doing it later in the day in the time zones that we're in. So we get to relax a little bit later. So he's already kind of saying, well, I know that the energy output, if I do a webinar presentation, if he does that early in the morning, then he knows he's going to have less productivity for the day, because it is an energy drainer. So yeah, it's like, again, have the direct experience of what works for you. But our strongest recommendation is you've got your ego still a little bit asleep in the mornings, so try and do your flow state in the morning. Yeah. And then it frees your day up for these other activities that could be a profitable task, like doing a presentation, going live, doing a webinar, etc.
But I like the way he presents ideas, not as if they're final, right? It's a framework, as a concept. He says, but will these work for you? I don't know, because I don't know what energizes you. Got to decide what energizes you and what drains you. So for him, a webinar drains him, but writing energizes him, and doing tech nerd stuff is neutral. Like he can do it unconscious, like, an animal punching buttons. Well, tech stuff will make me want to jump off a building, and I'm more likely to be energized by talking like this, and writing makes, so I would probably be more likely to want to talk in the morning and then write at night, because whatever makes you tired, you need to do right before you go to bed. So I thought it was interesting that there's liberties in there to figure out, so you can figure out what the best times of day to do stuff
and your profitable tasks, where you need that flow state is, the other thing you need to have that sort of direct experience of as well. And using the 3/8, like you talk about, deciding what is that you choose to do.
So there's an interesting word that I picked up I'll get to in a minute. But so what's interesting with all the technology we have, we're Outlook, we'll talk to Gmail, we'll talk to Calendly, we'll talk to my phone, and we've got all this technology. And guess what high-tech system, as nerdy as Jason is, to manage his must get done and his schedule? A piece of paper and a pen and a wall calendar. Now, he said if you have an assistant that can manage a calendar and then just kind of tell you, here's the next thing you got, that's long range stuff. But he said if you don't have an assistant, get a wall calendar. So this dude is using pen and paper and wall calendar. And it's, so as soon as you start to bow up at that, because you like your technology and your phone going ding, and that's I've already hinted at what the advantages is pen and paper won't ding at you, right? It'll just sit there real quiet.
They won't. But there's also some really powerful creative activities, and one of the ones that I'm going to make a recommendation of is to write down. It works really well when you're doing something like a why. Why do I want to do this task? Why do you want to do this challenge? We started with that at the start of the week. But whatever is your predominant writing hand, swap the pen over to the other hand, get a piece of paper, and literally just keep writing with your other hand. I want to get this done because. I want to get this done because. And it may change, but if you're doing it with your left hand, you're actually getting out of your logical mind as well. You're getting out of the kind of thinking aspect, trying to get it right, etc. And you're finding your flow with it. So that may be a little exercise to help you get into state of flow as well.
But I would have you consider that in the history of human beings, we've been writing longer than we've been typing. And we've been typing on typewriter, big keyboards longer than we've been typing on these little stupid things here. So, I mean, just have you consider that writing has some type of spiritual metaphysical thing, right?
There is a spiritual metaphysical. It is like a stream of consciousness that comes through, and especially if you get out of your own way, for sure.
So I've talked about David Goggins a lot because his books made attention. He had problems learning, and he said anybody else could sit in class and hear something and process it. He had to read it and write it multiple times, almost like when a teacher would hold you after class, maybe not you, but me, and make you write something 1,000 times or 100 times or 1,000,000 times, whatever it was. He had to punish himself. The only way is he had to write it word for word over and over and over again. That was what he had to do. It wasn't fun, but that's what he figured out. So there was something about how he learned from writing. But Jason's funny. He throws out a concept and then he tells you how many people have argued about it. So he has customers, clients that are paying him, and he tells them about the pen and paper method. And they go, "You don't understand, Jason." And they're paying him, right? And he probably makes more money than him. "You don't understand. My to-do list, my life is way too complicated for pen and paper." And guess what he said? He said, "If your life is too complicated for pen and paper, then it's too complicated, period. It's just too complicated." So you need to, you have too many must get dones, which means they're not must get done. If you can't get all your must get dones done, then they must not need to get done. So you have to prune. That was the word I was going to use. Prune, trim the fat, cut away.
He actually even says here that the secret to true productivity is simplicity.
Yeah. Which
now I do have
our third F yesterday. We had focus, flow state, and fewer choices. We're talking about just fewer choices.
Well, I do want to just tell a quick little story about simplicity. So donkeys years ago, Mark Joyner, who is actually Russell Brunson's first mentor. So Mark Joyner had this product. It was a productivity tool called Simpleology. And he had a free version of it, which was hilarious because back then I first started learning about, my relation to what is free and what do I value versus what do I pay for and get more out of it. So I sat with this piece of software on my computer for a year, never looking at it because it was free. And basically it was the most brilliant little kind of timer type of like check off, not so much to-do list, but sort of just these reminder things. Never used it because it was free. It was just like and again, Simpleology. But funnily enough, it was really, really high tech technology to get it to be simple. It's always the case. But the thing that I like that he's saying here as well, and this actually is related to that story, is in Western societies, a mentally healthy person will overestimate their abilities in general. Now, what's that Tony Robbins saying that he always...
Yeah, Tony Robbins says, and I don't remember the duration of time, so work with me here, sue me if I'm wrong, but he says people will always overestimate what they can get done in a
1 year.
Term. Let's say that's,
1 year.
Well, no, overestimate, in a year or even a day or a month, but underestimate what they can do in 5 to 10 years or in their lifetime, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So what's interesting, you say that, so I thought this was funny. We don't have time to comment on every comment. But Christy has figured out how to prune your must get done list. She said she can't write a single word with her left hand. Well, if you write your must get done list with your left hand, you're done before you get started. He's already like, "Hey, I want to do everything today what I wrote with my left hand." Okay, we're done.
I'm probably not suggesting you must get done with your left hand, but maybe if you want to get into a state of flow.
No, that's just funny. I don't care who you are. It don't have to be accurate to be funny. So it's funny he said this because I say this, I swear I said this the other day. And I make up, one of my favorite sayings is 98.2% of all statistics are made up on the spot. And the next time I say it, it'll be a different number because I literally make that number up. Who knows how many it is. But I said 90% the other day, and maybe Jason made up this, but he said 80, the point is still valid. 80% of all drivers in the United States think they're above average. Yeah. And if you understand the definition of average is it's half better and half or worse. So 30% are wrong. I said the other day, 40 or 49, I made up a number. It doesn't matter. A significant number of people wrong. But here's the big number. 90% of Americans think that their children are above average intelligence. That means 40% don't know how dumb Junior is. And Junior don't know how dumb Junior is. And that explains a lot of what's on Facebook. Everybody thinks they're a lot smarter than they are, including me. So anyway, so people like you talk about staying in your lane. Some folks don't know what their lane is.
Well, I'll just put it into context of you have talked about with your quick start isms of grabbing onto all sorts of stuff. And the reason why you kind of weren't stepping out and letting people know what you were doing, because it was just chaos.
Who
You
would
just
I
had
invite into this
too
life,
many
right?
things going on. So I'll never forget when we were scrambling to get our business, our brick and mortar business, off the ground in Dubai. We literally laid down, I swear, it was every idea we've ever had onto this massive mind map. And we were purposely trying to make it join together. In our minds, we could see how it could all join together, because we were just literally at scrambling stage going, we got to make this work. So we decided to present what would be the overarching big picture that this company that cost us, 50 grand to set up was going to be able to do. The two people we presented it to were literally left like deers in headlights going, like, that cannot be done. Like, what are you talking about?
There's NASA scientists right now scratching their head going, I don't think that's possible. That's good.
And that's just like this addiction. So this overestimating what you can do, it's great to idea dump, but don't put all of your ideas into one. This is, I mean, if I've learned nothing else about living as a digital nomad for the last 7.5 years, I am a minimalist now. Like, I literally have carry-on luggage. That is everything that I own. And it's crazy to how much that metaphysical weight lifts when you're not carrying not just the physical stuff, but the ideas, all of these ideas that so many times we'll speak to somebody, like, be doing a coaching or consulting call with someone and say, have you, like, what do you want to do? Like, you want to live this lifestyle, but have you got the income to do it? Oh, I've got this idea, but actually another idea that I had and another idea that I had. And it's like, that's great that you're creative, and, yes, create every day for sure. But, you've got to know how to filter those. You've got to know how to make it down to the fewer choices, and you've got to know how or what to purely focus on. The 3 F's again.
It's funny you mentioned the fact that you're a self-described nomad or whatever. Is where I live is in the southeast of Virginia. If you're not American, don't mean anything to you, but what it does mean is there's a tremendous amount of military here, like one of the largest naval bases, SEAL Team 6, Air Force Base, Langley, in other words, CIA headquarters right over. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of military in this area. So there's a lot of people I get to know that you don't know long, because the military moves them every 2 years. And it's neat to see how detached they are to things and places, because they're going to move in 2 years. It's like, oh yeah, we'll have friends, but we're not going to get so close because we'll see you down the road. And they don't have so much stuff, because guess what you got to do every 2 years? Pack that junk up.
Cull it out.
So yeah, so after a while they end up with everything. And it's like my experience of going to college. When my first year I went, you had to be prepared. I spent weeks planning and packing or whatever, and you packed ahead of time. By my 4th year, they said, don't you got class tomorrow? And I went, yeah, I guess. And I grabbed a toothbrush and headed down the road, and that was optional. You just get there, and then eventually you come back and get some more clothes. And it's just, after a while, you're like, who cares? So to wrap this up, because I want to move to mind state tricks, because it's funny, unless you got something else. We already touched on this a little bit, but I like that he said we are a bunch of patterns. In other words, we are patterns. And that meant no matter what all we tell you about this, there's certain frameworks that are indisputable, systems, deadlines, stuff like that. But you got to decide whether you write in the morning or you write in the evening or you write never. So Jason writes in the morning because it energizes him for the rest of the day. If I write in the morning, I might have to take a nap. So I've got to take this framework and then make it work for me, right?
Yeah, I'm completely on board with that one.
Because what he said was interesting. I don't know that he did a good segue from every chapter to the next, but at the end of the chapter about to-do list stink, he said, and now you combine these with mind state tricks, you've really got something going in the next chapter is mind state tricks. So I wanted to transition into that, that you got something else about to-do list or to-don't list. Oh, I was going to add that. I didn't have it in my notes, but somebody said what we stop doing can be more important than what we do. So have a to-don't list, which was kind of like going through and going, eliminate, right? There's stuff you just need to quit doing because it ain't in your wheelhouse. And you just need to stop. Okay.
And just remember that as well, that what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So maybe that one goes on the to-don't list.
So how to hack your own mind state. And state is a heavy word for me, because when we go to talking about states, I mean, there's a lot of things you could use to describe Tony Robbins' career. But if there's one thing that I know him for, is talking about your emotional state. and being able to manage that with physiology. So everybody thinks when I'm in some less than desirable state, we recognize that you would notice in the physiology. He would say, hey, look, there's this guy you don't even know back here. You can't even see him. But I can tell you he's depressed, he's lonely, he's sad. Now, if I was to say, is his posture upright or is he slumped? Oh, he's slumped. Is he breathing deeply or is he breathing shallow? Oh, he's breathing shallow. Like everybody will describe his physiology and don't even know him. He said, well, the problem is we assume that because we're depressed, we're in a certain physiology. I would have you consider that your physiology can determine your state. And he's already proven that if you feel yourself in a less than desirable state, changing your physiology, instead of frowning, smile, deep breathing. That's why meditation, just focusing on your breathing matters. You know, one of the interesting things, one of the theories of why smoking is so hard to quit, they're taking deep breaths, albeit they're breathing toxins in, and there is some possibly nicotine addictions, but is an excuse to go and breathe deeply. What if you did that with a cigarette?
I also had the vision then of just today, I actually did it the other way around. We talked about if you have pets, if you see them stretch, you should stretch. Today I was doing the other thing. I needed to have a good stretch out in my back to help change my state. And lo and behold, the dog drops down into downward dog right beside me. I'm like, good on you. Doggy yoga. Here we go.
So you could get wrapped around the axle if we asked everybody in here to list some emotional states. And what you might get is, I don't know, happy, sad, glad, depressed, lonely. I mean, it could be an infinite number, right? But what if, again, in light of what we're teaching, to be congruent, fewer choices? What if I had you consider there's only 2 states you need to worry about? Arizona and California. No, I'm just kidding. Emotional states of being. Okay. Can we do that? Everybody, because I'm going on.
Let's play.
Okay. Resourceful or not resourceful? Productive or not productive? Period. There's your 2 choices. And here's what happens. You know, they talk about how fast somebody can type, which ain't me. I never learned how to type. My mama tried to get me to take typing in high school. I said, Mom, I'm going to be an engineer. I don't need to learn how to type. Oh, if I could get to go back in time and let her hit me in the head with a stick. Like, everybody's got to type, son. But anyway, I'm old enough that computers weren't mandatory yet. Now that's changed. So these states, and remember I said, we think our state determines our physiology. Oh, they've proven this, that if they get a man, I think Tony Robbins taught me this, if a man stands in a Superman position, chest up, shoulders back, with his fist on his hips, picturing the wind blowing his cape, his growth hormone and testosterone will shoot up just from standing like that. All right. So your brain, I talked about typing fast. Your brain is coming up with words at 100 times faster than anybody can type. And most of which is top secret. We don't even know what it is. It's in the background. And so if we're not aware of it, how can we make ourselves aware of it? Look at your state, look at your physiology. If you're feeling not so productive, not so resourceful, then you got stinking thinking going on. And then you can control that. You can then intentionally put yourself in a different state.
Can I just clarify what you said? So for those that don't understand Stephen's accent, he said stinking thinking.
Stinking thinking. Is that not in plain English? Yes, stinking thinking. I think Zig Ziglar came up with that. So if you would consider, you only got to worry about 2 states. Am I resourceful or am I not? Am I productive or am I not? And if you're not, then this is how to hack yourself so you can. So what's the state you want to be in is in a confident state, because the more confident you are at doing a task, the easier it's going to be. Think of the reverse. If you're very scared or afraid or unsure of doing a task, how sure you're going to be? Interestingly, I played a lot of football to be such a small, unathletic guy. And then I coached kids in football. And the thing that got them to understand was, if you're afraid, you're more likely to get hurt than if you play all out. And I don't understand that.
Look,
it just works.
I'm just going to bring the animals thing into this again. We actually have a housekeeper that comes to this house who is terrified of the dog, one of the dogs.
Right.
And the state that she puts herself in makes him arc up at her every single time.
is self-fulfilling
They
prophecy.
read it.
It's,
Yep.
I want to spend a little time because we're doing pretty good on time on talking about a self-fulfilling prophecy because she's in fear and dogs can smell fear and
Yep.
react to that. Then the dog is more aggressive toward her and it is a negative feedback loop. So one of my many mentors, and I'm going to talk about her next. So it's a good segue. Danny Johnson, her husband, Danny, they got grandkids now. They got grown kids. They've been married a long time. They had some really rough patches. They almost split up. And now they got a great marriage and they've worked on it and they have date night every week. So when they had little kids, it's like kids aren't an excuse. We're going to hire a babysitter. It's whatever it was, Thursday night, Friday night, whatever. And they got, and of course they're wealthy, but they don't do fancy dates just to prove you don't have to have a lot of money to go on a date. They just go to this simple burger joint. This burger joint is extremely popular and there's always a wait. Well, this was say back in 2008, 2009, when the economy went in the ditch because of the housing bubble and all that. They waited in line like they always do to get in this burger joint. And when they get seated, it is a madhouse. There's people everywhere, like it always is. And the waitress is all negative. She's Debbie Downer. And they're like, wow, it's packed tonight. No. We mean no. It's the economy. Well, she's been, I guess, drinking the CNN Kool-Aid or something. I mean, she literally is in a different world. So they kept trying to tell her, no, it's fine, everybody. And she kept going down. Do you know that she was so negative that they tipped her less? She had created the bad economy that she was afraid of, despite the fact that everything around her said everything was fine. If she'd have been awesome, if she'd have been positive, these were wealthy people that had give her significance. She so drugged them down that it affected her tip. And if you think people that know personal development and are very generous might have slighted their own tips, what do you think everybody else was going to do? So it's the same as your housekeeper. If you think the economy is bad or you think it's great, you're right. If you think you can or you think you can't, say it with me. You're right.
You're right. Well, I do need to get this out of me because it's just reminded me, you mentioned CNN. She drank the Kool-Aid of the media onslaught. And I will never forget hearing this guy speak years and years ago. It was probably 15 years ago. And he said, do you know that the average home in the United States has more TVs in it than it does bathrooms? And there's a lot of homes in the United States that have multiple of everything. I mean, you know, we've got this abundant society of, you know, if there's 4 bedrooms, there's 4 bathrooms. But guess what? There might be 5 or 6 TVs because they're in the kitchen now. Right. They're in the laundry now. Like there are TVs everywhere. Yeah. So the whole thing is, it literally just means that there are, don't mind my language, there's more shit coming into the house than what there is leaving it. Right. And that Debbie Downer waitress has created her reality. Created it. And so she created a negative feedback loop that said, I'm going to confirm what I fear, which is the economy's bad. And her attitude was so bad that it affected her income. And we can all do that, plus or minus. So which gets me to the next point, which is, and this was just, I put a star beside stuff I really want to talk about, was how we're supposed to model confidence. Because how do you get confident when you're trying something new? Because you haven't done it yet, but you're going to start internet marketing or something new or something. You have to model confidence. You have to put it on. So he happens to use a gentleman as an example in the ebook that I'll let you buy the ebook and decide for yourself how that's who you would use to model. But I'm gonna use another example because I'm growing and I can. Is again Danny Johnson, when she first got started in sales, had a mentor, but he was a virtual mentor, meaning he wasn't there in the office with her. And before she went on any sales calls, she put in, and she's old enough, she's older than me, so there was a TV and a VCR. Remember those? And she had a VHS tape of him doing a sales presentation. And she would put that in and push play. But here's the cool thing. She would mute the TV and only watch his mannerisms, his pace, what he did with his body, what he did with his shoulders, what his facial expressions, his timing. She started to model that. And she said the more she watched that video and modeled it, she went from not being to close nobody to she had the highest close ratio of anybody by watching a video on mute. But it's got to be somebody that was confident and successful. You can model confidence. You just got to pick somebody that looks extremely confident to you and then model that. And I just, you know, want to go back to what you were talking about the other day with the athletes. You know, the guy that stood in front of the mirror, you know, practicing his baseball swing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's you're watching either the other athlete or the stage performer or the whatever it is, and yeah, you can model. I mean, God, I remember even as a kid standing in front of the TV with ABBA on and dancing like the ABBA girls. That's showing my age now too.
Right. So so let's say you don't have anybody to model for just the sake of argument, then model yourself. And you're like, holy cow, but what you got to do is remember a moment in your life when you were on top of the world in a peak state, even if when you was a kid, because Jason had told this story before about how the worst, when he was a musician, the worst musical gig ever turned into best musical gig ever.
Well, he's got it written down as an anchored point. Yeah,
exactly. And I think that's what made the feeling so much more significant. It just didn't start out great. Like if it started out great, it'd be great, but it started out so bad and then got so great. There was such a divide between where it started and where it ended that he could go back and remember everything about that moment and step back into that. And what he mean by everything is I want to talk about the fact that the physiology and 3 modalities, which is a fancy word for visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. In other words, what did you see in that memory? What did you hear? And what did you feel? And then recreate that. Even that you notice whether it's big or little, up, down. Yeah.
I will add the senses there of smell as well, because I certainly have different smells that can take me to a moment in time. So you can recreate that environment sometimes as well, you know, whether it's a home baked thing, or for me, it was a certain brand of a hairspray would take me to a very confident time in my life where I'd be going out with my friends and it was just this hairspray. It was the 80s, so there's lots of hairspray. But yeah, those parts that you can remember, I guess you're going into this now as well, but it's actually like not just seeing yourself in there, it's almost being able to point to the memory of good, whether it be in your mind or in your body, like choosing a part where you can say, oh, that memory sits in my heart or my right arm or this side of my brain. And that's really important because of really what he's going to, he says you can put it to the test. You really can. To change your state.
This is not hokey. This is your brain, whether you understand it or not. Your brain is going to encode different states in different places. So confidence and productivity will have a place. So what he said is you want to notice, he said he does this with clients. He'll get them to remember like a memory when they did something really, really dumb or stupid. It really bothers them. And then he'll say, now picture that moment when you did something stupid. Now point to it. And they'll point to where that memory is in their field of vision. And then they have to think of the opposite. Sometimes they did something really, really good they were proud of. It's never the same place. So he said, it's a great way to help make decisions. If your good memories are here and your bad memories are here and somebody presents you with an opportunity and it's over here, it's probably good. And if it's over here, it's probably bad. And that's where intuition comes from.
Within the body as well. I mean, it can literally be a part of your head or your body. You can actually hold that vision, that sound, that smell, that texture, that whatever, you can actually hold it in a part of your body that's like, oh no, when that one comes up, I like, you know, it might be an action or something like I don't want to go there again. That was like way too painful. But yeah, it's making me think of, we've talked about this even from the other day with the intelligence and experience, like what is better, having intelligence or experience? Well, experience wins hands down every time, particularly for the productivity and the act of developing your intuition to be a fine-tuned machine that can just pick and choose everything anytime with limited effort. So there is a word that I would love everyone to actually go and look up, and it's called qualia, Qualia. It is a fascinating word to research because it actually, I guess in summary, it is saying that you will never really know something until you have a direct experience. Now, you talked about this as well, is that you can't describe, you know, what you see, whether it's a view, whether it's a color, whether it's something. Your description of that automatically distorts it for somebody else, especially if they've never seen that color or that view. You know, different kinds of emotions or whatever. The only way you can ever know anything is by having your own direct experience.
So I know you and I stalk each other so we can study each other's marketing. So I get your emails and you get mine, and that's cool. But I don't know if you looked at them yet today. I sent an email today trying to get people to show up to this challenge that said, look, I'm tired of trying to describe the Grand Canyon to you. I'm tired of trying to describe vanilla. I'm tired of trying to describe the birth of your first child. Can't be done. You got to experience. So show up to the challenge instead of waiting for my email every day. I mean, that's literally the angle that I took. And so one of my things is always, you know, how breathtaking the Grand Canyon is. Nobody can describe that to you. It's a really big, oh, wow. Okay, really? No, it's way more than that. So all of this stuff sounds hard, and it is because you've never done it before. If you've seen that movie, The Matrix, why do my eyes hurt? Because you've never used them before. So these are things, you know, you've never used before. Well, you're living by default, not by design. So guess what the answer is it gets easier with time. Eventually, it's easier to get to step in a confident state because you know how important it is because you practice so much. Oh, I had a thing you mentioned in sports. There's another thing. Oh, this is good. So why we talk about feedback loops, you can convince somebody of some untrue stuff with a little bit of feedback loop. So here's what I'm getting at. I'll get back to the sports. They have proven that if a perfectly healthy person walks into work, it walks into an office, and they've got a little collusion going on, they got a little game they're playing. If somebody says, Joe, you don't look good, you feel okay? And he goes, yeah, I'm fine. That's one person says he looks like he feels bad. Second person says, oh my God, Joe, you all right, man? You need to go to the doctor. You okay? Yeah, I'm fine. By the third person, he goes home. He calls in sick. 3 people. He was fine when he got there. 3. So that's a feedback loop, and they messed with him, and they've proven this. All right. Now in sports, some of the most superstitious people on earth are people who play sports. Some of the most greatest superstitions are baseball players. So I played a lot of little league in high school and some baseball in college, not at college, but when I was a summer goofing off. And I had a high school baseball coach that would hit you upside your head if you crossed bats. They had to be side by side. If one bat crossed another, he freaked out. Why? Because one time the bats got crossed and they lost the game. So here, but that doesn't prove anything. Here's what it proves. There's like these guys that won't wash their socks because they were wearing some dirty socks when they had a great game, or they always eat chicken before a game. And then because that game they look back and go, I had a great game. What did they eat? Chicken. Well, let's think about what that's doing. It's putting them back in that state. They remember what it's like to smell them stinking socks or to eat that chicken, and it puts them back in that state. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a feedback loop, right? The chicken don't make them any better. The chicken
superstitions are awesome.
Subconsciously puts them into the state. What I'm asking you to do is not trust dirty socks and chicken. Trust you to be smart enough to do this. Hey, and if, like I always say, what works, works. If dirty socks makes you write webinars like Jason Flatten, wear your dirty socks, put them on your hand and type with the dirty socks. I just did that. I just went there. That's common. That's for free. I give that for free. Oh, and the last thing I wanted to say before we shift to the bonus round is time distortion. So he not only talked about the visual and auditory and kinesthetic, big words for a phone boy, but time distortion. Whereas like when you're on a train or in an automobile, everything around you is moving at the speed you are, but everything outside the car is moving really, really fast. You can do he says sometimes he does the opposite. What he does is when he's typing, he pictures as he's writing, and he said he did it while he was writing this book that we're here teaching. And by the way, you can go buy a copy. You can go buy one right now. Don't take my word for it. But because I could be lying to you. We could be lying to you, and then you'll never know unless you buy the book. So I'm just saying. So he said while he was writing this book, he pictured himself typing in slow motion while the rest of the world was zooming by. Sun coming up, sun going down. Woman coming in, dumping his trash, cleaning the office, going home, cutting the light out. He's still in there typing. For some reason, that made it enjoyable. And it made it feel like, hey, I don't care if the day passes me by. I'm having fun. So he was in slow motion. The rest of the world was moving fast. And you figure out what works for you.
Stuff I absolutely love, because we have we are infinite beings. We are absolutely infinite beings that have the ability to, I don't like the word manipulate, but it's create. It is the creating of our own reality through these mind tricks, these mind state tricks that you can actually manipulate, massage right. Kind of your reality of what's happening.
And we're made in the image of a creator. That's my belief. And it's funny that it says in scripture that as you have said it, let it be so. We'll just be very careful. You remember Indiana Jones, you have chosen poorly, and they just disintegrated and died. So you get to choose, right?
Yeah.
Choose what life you want. And most people,
And
like I said, one of my passions is working with crazy entrepreneurs like me that are also married to have children that are just are overwhelmed, because the very reason they got into starting a business was to create freedom, but they end up creating their own prison and then setting it on fire. And they're like, oh, this is killing me. This is you created the prison and set it on fire and don't have to keep. And then you realize, well, I can put the fire and I can tear the prison down. I'm the one built it. I mean, you've got to realize this. David Goggins said, talk about him again, is the only guy ever to make it through 3 hell weeks as a Navy SEAL. And he said, you get to a point where, and the instructor's job is to make you quit. I know that sounds weird, not to make you succeed. You got to do that. Think about that. That's a whole nother day. That's another bonus day. They're not there to make you succeed. They're there to invite you to quit. Because if you're going to quit, you're going to quit. And they tell you how warm the bed is somewhere, and how good the food is somewhere, and how good it would be to be laying down with your wife instead of out there with a bunch of them knuckleheads. And you begin to think, he's right. I ain't gonna let them. And you get this mindset of us versus them. They ain't against you. They're there just to send you on back to the food and whatever. And you realize nobody made me do this. Nobody's I signed up for this.
it's your choice.
To quit
Yeah,
is to quit
absolutely.
on me. So you signed up for where you are. Now I get people make decisions outside of your control every day. I'm not saying to be, but I am saying that personal ownership of where you are. Because we already talked about self-fulfilling prophecies, that a woman that thinks the economy bad will create a bad economy for herself. A woman who's afraid of a dog will make a dog bite her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And she has. It's actually happened. And just for me to be able to be given the stage to share my belief as well. My
Yes.
belief is that instead of just being the image of the creator, God is within. If it is God, universe, infinite source, energy, consciousness, God is within all of us. We are aspects of, not just images of, we are within. That is why we are infinite, conscious, amazing beings that are capable of anything. And this computer that kind of runs us is literally only running on 5-10% maximum. It's got a lot more power that's available to it.
And you know that because you can see in moments where people exceed expectations, you go, okay, what, there's more, there's gold in them that are here. All right, now what? We're ready to transition into the epiphany.
Oh. Look at you. Now, what I would like to do, we've been given an opportunity to share something with you that nobody else, as of this day, is allowed to. And we're really excited about it because the community that we have actually met through is opening up to take in new members. But what I would like everyone to do is check and see if you've had an email from either Jason Fladlian or Rapid Crush, or the person who invited you here to this group, and follow the links to come through to a training webinar that is happening on Saturday, because that's what they'll be inviting you to. But we've got a little bit of a few things in the pot cooking at the moment that we want to share with you if you have been invited here by us.
So this is a bonus teaching, and I don't know if you watch any of my other lives, just because this is what I like to do. But so I went to get in my flow state this morning, and I decided my flow state, normally when Jody talked about I'm gonna stay a chapter ahead, and we like read the chapters right before we show up, because I wanted to be fresh on my head. But I decided first thing this morning that I was going to read the chapters so I had more time to marinate on it. And I got to chapter 3, literally that far into 2 chapters, and got a lightning bolt strike to the head. And I shared that with Jody, and she's like, what words was it actually? I said, the words were insignificant. It was just the fact that I showed up and focused and got in flow state, that there was divine intervention. I got in alignment.
You got to download
an assignment. I got to download.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden I realized that what Jody and I have been doing reminds me of a Bob Ross painting. You know who Bob Ross is? If you don't, my gosh, where have you been? Bob Ross would paint with a 4-inch brush and make it look like it was done with a fine. I mean, this guy was amazing, right? And he had this saying, he said, we don't make mistakes, we have happy accidents. Because you think about it, if you put some paint on a canvas in the wrong place, you got more paint, you can paint over it, right? So what I realized is Jody and I have created a happy accident with this challenge. And let me tell you what I mean by that. We have accidentally, and maybe she's more diabolical, and I mean that in a good way, and more planned than me, and I just bumbled upon it. You know, they say a broke clock is wrong 2 times a day, unless you're using military time. And that even a blind hog will find an acorn every once in a while. Well, that's my case here. We've been modeling for you a formula for success. Like, it's freaky. And let me tell you what I'm talking about. So consider this challenge and this download that this is a happy accident and how good this is. So first of all, I would have you consider that you need to think about humility and getting over yourself. Because Jason talked about in the Unite Challenge, and if any of you weren't here, I'll tell you what he said. He said, anytime that you won't show up to serve a group of people that you were put here on this earth to serve, number one, they are struggling, waiting for you, and you are worried about how you're going to look, or how you're going to sound, or all this stuff. You're worried about you. The only thing holding you back is you worried about you, and that's selfish. And so I want to give you a definition of humility. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. People think you being humble is putting yourself down. No, it's putting others up. It's not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less and other people's more. Well, just let that marinate. And if you've heard that before, you're with me. If you ain't.
If somebody could type that one in, that one's a really good one.
That's a writer downer. Notice I didn't say typer downer. It's the reason we say writer downer. Humility is not thinking of yourself, thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less. So I'm asking you to get over yourself. And there's a principle, if you get over yourself, and you've got to promote something in life to make a living. I don't care what line of work you're in, you have to promote something. If it's nothing else to keep your job, you got to promote yourself. But and in that case, that's a little bit different. What I'm saying is you would take humility and you getting over yourself to be able to promote others before you try to promote your own thing, especially if you haven't created it yet. I would have you consider that if you're thinking about doing a challenge, but you haven't started yet. And look at us, we just took action. We didn't even know what we were doing. We didn't care. And that's the happy accident. This is the experience and not the intelligence. We didn't talk our way out of doing it. So
we barely even talk to each other about it.
Right. Well, and and we're slightly more, maybe possibly more extroverted and more willing to wing it than some of y'all and just deal with that. Why don't you? But what if you could promote others before you even create your own thing? I want to have you consider, if you don't know who Russell Brunson is, would just wake up and get out of the tiny bubble you live in. Anyway, Russell Brunson created ClickFunnels, and he's known for being a funnel hacker, meaning, like I always say, I don't have any original thought. He believed firmly in that pioneers get scalped and die with arrows in the back and settlers prosper. He said, I want to go find a funnel that's already working. I can Google it. I can Facebook search. I can see they're running ads, and ads cost money. And so if they've run the ads for 18 years, they're probably making money. Okay. So he looks for long running ads, and then he looks at the funnel and he reverse engineers the funnel. And then he just sticks an offer just like it in front of the same traffic and gets him a share of that. Okay. That is profound. But what if I could give you something that I don't think Russell did? And you may know better because you might have looked at more of his stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he didn't take it to the funnel hacking on steroids I'm getting ready to suggest. He was really good at coming up with the money to pay people to build the funnel just like the other. And what he do is he pull out his credit card and buy their product. Why? Because you get to see their offer. You get to see their upsell. You get to see their downsell. You get to see their one-time offers. You get to see their follow-up emails. You get to see their whole marketing funnel and rip it off. But he had to pay somebody to do that. That's why he created ClickFunnels. So what used to take 6 weeks and $60,000, you can do in like 6 hours for $6. I'm making up numbers.
Well, but at the same time, you've got to keep that in context because yes, funnel hacking, and I have been a ClickFunnels user, and Russell Brunson is the equivalent of my little brother. We share the same birthday, 10 years apart. That's my big claim to 6 degrees of separation. But yeah, he has also invested. Well, if he's just turned 40 and he talks about from the age of 12, so what's that? A good 28 years of studying copywriting, studying the
studied everybody else's
work. He studied the psychology of what makes a funnel work. So yeah, it is awesome that you can go and get ClickFunnels. And yes, it is a huge time saver and cost saver in being able to like go and model. But the problem that has occurred in the last few years with funnels becoming sort of more mainstream or more, let's quote unquote popular, is that people are not getting the true meaning of hacking or modeling. And instead what they are doing is just straight out plagiarizing. and you
Right.
cannot take somebody else's headline and put it onto your funnel.
I'm getting there. You're getting you're playing the straight man and don't even know it because we haven't rehearsed this. I swear she don't know the next thing out of my mouth. I do because I took notes. Hold on. So I said, what if I could present to you funnel hacking on steroids? What if there was an ethical way to plagiarize? Pardon me while I write those words down. You hear them talk about an ethical bribe. That's what a lead magnet is, right? An ethical bribe. What would I have to do to get you to give me your email address? An ethical bribe. I'm going to say, what is an ethical plagiarism? And I'm getting ready to tell you. What if instead of creating a similar, not ripped off, but similar funnel, what if he could do the same funnel? What if he'd have called them and said, can I be an affiliate and market that product? And save the time and energy of creating the funnel and learning it as he made money. Think about it.
Well,
it also learn the market and learn the language and speak the language of the market while selling that guy's product or that company's product. What you got to say about that?
Well, what I got to say about that is that we do all have an aspect to us that is sort of like, but I want it to be my own. I want it to be my thing.
What did I start with? Humility and get over yourself. And then I got more examples. I got more examples that'll build on this. This is I'm laying a foundation here. We can't build a house until we got a foundation. So the foundation is get over yourself. And if you think you're humble, that'd probably be your first problem. You might have false humility or imposter syndrome. It's like everybody says, well, I'm open-minded. Anybody tells you they're open-minded, they're not open-minded. Because it's like, I'm awesome. Well, no, you're not.
Speaking of the open mind, again, we throw out percentages that we make up all the time. For anybody who is concerned or consumed with worried about how people will receive them, listen to them, look at them, they're worried about how people think of them. You've got to remember that every single person walking on the planet is thinking about themselves.
They ain't worried about you. They worried about them.
There's not enough time or not enough percentage left to be about you.
And listen, nobody wants to be judged. But when you have decided what somebody thinks of you, guess what you're doing?
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
You are judging them like, well, they don't like me. Well, how do you even know? And listen, you can go back to Stephen Covey's stories where you don't know if they've got a scowl on their face or if you're looking at them in person or if they're just making nasty negative comments on there. They ain't got nothing else to do. That ain't about you. That's about them. And I've proven that. Not just Jody saw me do recently, but in previous business years, people would go in to Facebook ads and leave all these nasty stuff and everybody else was attacking them and that's what he wanted. All I did was just go and disarm them and give them a redirect. I mean, I'm a comedian. Well, the reason you laugh at something is you think we're going this way and all of a sudden it's a redirection. So I know how to do that with humor and I make, funny. So when Jason was doing the Unite Challenge and making an offer, somebody was in there wearing him out. Everybody else says, you're wrong. He's amazing. They don't want you to defend him. They want to seem awesome. That's what so I put them on the spotlight. I put them on the pedestal. And I said, hey, you nailed it. You want to do a challenge with me? LOLs, lightened up. Everything was problem. So get over it. That's all I'm saying. All right. So let's get back to ethical plagiarism, which is you literally can use that funnel because you're selling their product. What if he'd have done that? What if we could do that? So let me say this. The reason I think we are modeling success with this is because we took action, because we're getting experience. I'll have you consider this. When we show up, God shows off, but he won't if you don't. He can do whatever he wants to, but he shows off when we show up. And I think I got a divine intervention because I showed up in Flow State. I just have you consider that. And remember, this stuff is more caught than taught. You can study all the stuff Pedro sold you. I know people that bought, Crush It with Challenges. They got the live event. They bought in the mastermind and they're still waiting for something magic to come out of space. And ain't nothing magic, right? Somebody literally posted in the group, where's the guarantee for my success? I said, look in the mirror. Pedro can't guarantee your success. Nor can Jason, nor can Will, nor can Stephen, nor can Jody. I refer to myself in the third person. That's always dangerous. I was talking.
Well, not everybody is here under the experience of Unite Challenge and Crush It with Challenges. We actually have invited some people in here who are just literally here to double their productivity. But the everything that Stephen's talking about there have been incredible opportunities that there are many people taking huge action on. And again, the people that actually showed up on the first day, did their homework and set themselves some hard deadlines, it is so powerful that they're already achieving them. It's like, oh my word, you're doing it. You're getting your groups set up and your pages set up and your funnels set up.
So all of you have been here long enough. Hey, Anna, to know how much Garrett J. White and Wake Up Warriors had effect on me. It doesn't matter if you know who that is. Just trust me here. And the neat thing about Garrett J. White, one of his things is to get up and do your core four, to get yourself in as much power as possible to be as productive as you can be that day. And it's in body, being, balanced business. I won't get into all that. I mean, it's two things in each one, right? How to get right in your body and in your being, your spiritual part, and your balance with your family and in your business. And all this would set you up to be powerful in business. The two things you had to do every morning in business was discover something and declare it. Learn something, which meant you probably weren't teaching yourself. You were going to listen to an audio, watch a video, read something. But then, like Stephen Covey said, the number one way to learn something is to teach it. And then you needed to go live on Facebook or in somewhere and teach it. Okay. Just trust me. That's powerful. Discover and declare. Well, keep in mind, Pedro was in Warrior before I was. And I would have you consider that all Jody and I have done every day is discovered and declared. It ain't my book. It ain't Jody's book. It ain't even about us. It's Jason's awesome. Here's some stuff. That may not be as significant to you because you haven't been through Warrior, but all we have done is a simple discover and declare. I want to set a new frame for you. Rethink your challenge. Your challenge is not engaging and it's discovering and declaring. And here, and one of the greatest orators ever asked, how in the world do you pack out everywhere you go? And he said, and I'm paraphrasing, I set myself on fire and people come and watch me burn. And some days you just come to watch me and Jody set just on fire. So I'm here to tell you that it's no accident that Pedro set up a challenge based on what he had to do every day of his life for years. And I did too. And so Pedro spent 2 years doing what? Challenge after challenge after challenge after challenge. And just the other day, he taught this, that a challenge is going to build one of 3 types of businesses. A lifestyle business, which just means I work when I want to, I play when I want to. I ain't worried about nobody, but you know, a handful of clients and me doing what I want to do. Then there is the affiliate model, which you are just an affiliate marketer for everybody else. You don't have your own product. And then he would call what's all in, the movement makers, where you're building a personal brand and you're trying to change the world. But guess what? You can have a lifestyle business without affiliate marketing, and you can have a lifestyle business without being all in. But the key is, if you do affiliate marketing, you can have a lifestyle business and
a movement,
build a brand, because Jason and Will have a brand that mostly they built around marketing other people's stuff better than they could. Yeah. Because they reduced the time it took them to create a product. Somebody already did it. We just created a product. Jody and I recording this. This is a product. People, us reading somebody else's book. We made a product. Again, we showed up and we got lucky. So I would have you consider Pedro knows what he's talking about. So you can create whatever type of business you want, and it can hinge upon an affiliate marketing, being humble and being willing to, and it ain't about you. It can be now, obviously me and Jody's personality carries a lot of this, and that's good. So we're building our personal brands while we don't have to worry about us being brilliant. We just had some brilliant insights from stuff somebody else wrote. Now, have you consider this? Does anybody here know who Siskel and Ebert is? You ever heard of Siskel and Ebert? They were famous movie critics. They never made a movie. They made a living. They lived in Hollywood and they made a lot of money talking about other people's movies. You could do worse. Think about that. They never made a movie that I know of. They made a living. There's a bunch of people on ESPN that ain't never played sports, but they make a good living talking about other people playing sports. You could do work. I would just think, oh, you know what the top YouTube channels are? Because my kids know, because they every kid wants to be a YouTube star because that's all they watch.
I know, it's amazing.
No, rarely are the top YouTubers creating their own content. One of them is just playing video games. He didn't write a video game. He didn't bring a video game to market. It's him and his personal brand and how he plays the game. Better than that, there's one of the guys watch where all they do is buy stuff off of Amazon and make fun of it. It's called Dope or Nope. They either say it's great, and if it's great, then guess what? They just sold a bunch of them. And if they say nope, they don't like it, they just destroy that. They just single-handedly can make or break products. And you're probably getting paid on the side to do that. Like if they call somebody and go, hey, we're going to destroy your product, you want to pay us off? I don't know that they're doing that. But the point is, they literally are not creating products, but they are monetizing to the tunes of millions by talking about other people's stuff. That's just what have you consider this. Now, as I bring this home, because I am at the bottom of my notes, and I'm sure in the 6:05, and we got to tell you the rest of the story, like whoever that was. So I may be a bigger fan of mixed martial arts in UFC Ultimate Fighting Championship than you are, but that's okay. Bear with me. Isn't it interesting if you consider that jiu-jitsu is a Japanese word and a Japanese art, but the big buzz is Brazilian jiu-jitsu? Well, how did a ancient Japanese art make it in South America? I'm glad you asked. You didn't know to ask the question because you didn't know that. The Gracie family invented UFC. That's true. And they couldn't figure out how to monetize it. Then they sold it to some guys that have made it the fastest growing sport. It's not number one. Soccer's still number one worldwide, but it's the fastest growing sport. They invented a thing that didn't exist before, mixed martial arts. And the reason it's in Brazil is because the Gracies were wealthy. They were lawyers. They were investors. They had plenty of money. And he had a Japanese immigrant working for them. And he said, why don't I teach my Japanese art to y'all? There were two brothers in the family. I don't even remember, Carlos and Helio. That sounds right. Let's just trust me here. I know about Helio because that's who I'm going to talk about. I'm sure about Carlos. Carlos was, and most of these Japanese fighters were big, muscular guys. Carlos was an athletic guy. Helio, there was a birth defect or something. He was tiny and frail. So they would not let him compete. They would not let him train. But he sat and watched it every day. But he didn't watch it passively. He watched it actively, thinking, those are big, strong guys. If I had to do that technique, they would beat me every time. Because I'm small, because I'm weaker, because I'm frail, I better rely on speed and technique. So he rehearsed every technique that he watched them do that would work for him for years. One day, Carlos got detained, couldn't show up to teach the class. He had learned so much from the Japanese guy that he was teaching. Carlos was sick, or he got in a car accident. Something happened, Carlos couldn't come. Helio stepped down and taught the class better than had ever been taught. And they were shocked. They were bewildered. How did you do that? You'd never done it before. He said, I've done it a million times in my mind, and I did it better than y'all ever did because I'm small and weak. And that's why they changed the game for little guys and for women and for children for self-defense, because it ain't about a bigger guy taking advantage of a little guy. It's the little guy having an advantage. And that's why it's known as a Brazilian art and not a Japanese art, because of one man who got considered the grand master, and his family invented the fastest growing sport on earth. Now, I'm telling you this, he didn't invent it. He watched it and he made it better. That's called affiliate marketing, people. And if that don't give you goosebumps, you need to check your temperature because you might be dead. So have I convinced you that maybe you ought to consider humbling yourself, getting over yourself, and learning how to promote other people's products so you don't have to worry about creating products or finding them? So let's say you go to become an affiliate marketer. You gotta, if you don't create a product, you gotta go find it. You gotta vet it. You gotta negotiate. You gotta create all the whatever to try to, the funnels and all that. What if all that was already done? Products selected, deals negotiated, served on a silver platter, and all you do is show up and focus on a very few couple things that you can do and learn and master, like Pedro, and use something like challenges or any way where you can just get up and discover and declare and then say, and there's this thing we got that you may be interested in, take it or leave it. It's profound what can happen when you partner with Mac. Now, I'm a big fan of outsourcing. I got an Amazon business. I've hired, locals and overseas. So it's one thing, and I said this on a live with somebody today, because, ABC, always be closing. So I was on a call today on a Facebook Live, and I said, look, I outsource to people that I can pay $4 and $5 an hour in the Philippines. And that's a great wage for them, by the way. They work every day, all day for that. I said, but they're limited, you know, to whatever they've learned how to do in resources. What if for less than what I pay them? I mean, I got 2 VAs that I pay $5 an hour, 40 hours a week. So that's $400 a week. But I get to hire a man who has made $100 million via webinars and is arguably the greatest affiliate marketer ever, because he in the biggest internet launch ever, he was number 1 and number 2 and number 3 and number 5. Somebody took number 4. What if I could hire him for less than $400 a week? How about less than $400 a month? Well, what if is here? I did it. And Jody did it. That's where we met. And I'll just say this, and then we can drop the mic and then Jody can step in. And this is what she's been not letting me tell you all week. Did it cost me? And it may cost you more. I don't know. You fight that out. But I paid $299 a month for the last 2 months. So we'll round that up to $600. So you keep picking $2. We'll call it $598. And I turned that into $10,000 more and more in profit. That's not some made up gross revenue. There's not some ad cost or whatever. I spent no money on ads and I didn't even work that hard. I really didn't take it. I showed up, I was trying this out, because let me tell you why the $299 was insignificant for me, because I've paid way more to get way less. I'm in a business school. I'm in an MBA program. I've never seen a community and a group of people like this in my life, because we're all in there trying to market the same thing, but instead of being competitive, we're cooperative. So much so to let you know how abundant our mindset is, we're going to offer you to come into the same club. And I don't consider it competition. I consider it as so much abundance. There's like so much to be had. Come get you some. And ain't that what the world needs? Instead of I found something and I want you to know. There's plenty of it. Come get you some. And so I'm challenging you right now. If you go call a real estate investor, a stockbroker, the smartest guy you know, and if he can show you a way to take $600 and turn it into over $10,000 in 2 months, you call me and I'll drop this like a hot rock and I'll come do that. But until you do, this needs your consideration. And over $10,000 in profit in 2 months from a $598 investment. And look, if in case the FTC is watching this, and they're not, we got to say, you know, when income claims, my results are not typical. You'll probably do nothing and make nothing. In fact, you'll probably lose money. But I told you, I've paid a lot more to get a lot less. I was willing to pay $299 a month to just get the education. You can tell by the fact that I didn't show up and work really hard. Now, there's people in the group that made a lot more money than me. And there's people that made a lot less. There's people that made nothing. But it's like Jody will tell you, there's people that didn't even show up. And at least we showed up, right? So, and one day when I get to know you, I'll come out of my shell and speak freely. You can hear my passion. Yeah, Paul.
Well, with regards to results aren't typical, etc. I can share my experience, and really at the end of the day, I don't view what it is that I've invested in these last couple of months as a typical financial investment. Like, I don't look at paying the monthly, I'm going to say coaching and done for you fee. It is a mixture of literally outsourcing and coaching and mentoring, but not just with anybody, with literally the highest paid affiliate on the planet, and somebody that I respect hugely, and his business partner. His business partner is a technical genius, which we're all learning from as well. But I've not viewed what I've invested as a kind of, I need to get money back. And I've been, for the first time in my life, completely unattached to whether that investment would get an ROI or not. So I didn't do as well as Stephen, and I did put a little bit of advertising money in, but I haven't spent more than $800, and I have had a return of just over $8,000. So that's in the last 2 months, and that is being a part of, as you said at one point in time there, the most incredibly generous and cooperative community. And, you know, I do know that it was like there was a moment in time. I've just been invited to become a mentor in the program because I did actually get to interview a fellow mentor, Anna, and I think I've heard you say as well, that was the pivotal point in the community. It's where we actually all finally got to see that we're here supporting each other. It's like the COVID world pandemic has just released this different way of being for so many people, and this coming together aspect. It's only being seen at the moment in a group of sort of 400 people, but that 400 people is an amazing, incredible community of people. And not only do you learn the most ethical and, you know, the way of making money with integrity through a business model that is literally to me, I've been, for anyone who's followed me for the last couple of years, this is the way. I have created digital information products. I have run virtual summits. I have started a podcast. I've been on YouTube for 12 years, never really followed through with it because that's my DNA. But I've done I've run a live in-person retreat. I've done so many different things, but the one thing that is maintained right through, and I still even get $100 a year from work that I did back in 2008. And that's all because of affiliate marketing. So for every person that ever asks me, I want to live your life, what do I need to do to make money online? I'm always going to say that the easiest thing is affiliate marketing to get started with, but it hasn't been easy up until now because there are so many moving parts. Consciousness itself has shifted and changed and had people doing that kind of modeling aspect, but it's also meant that there's not great stuff coming out of all people. For Jason and Wilson and Rapid Crush to literally go back, they've been offline for the last couple of years, literally working with amazing companies like Zoom and helping them get their businesses marketed correctly. And they've come back online literally to say, hey, we need to do something. There is an opportunity here for more and more people, whether they're already in business or whether they're looking to start a business, to tap into quality products as an affiliate and promote and learn the art and the science of direct response marketing. Because that's it. That is the skill. If you just even take 10 or 20% of that part of what direct response marketing is about, you have a skill that will pay you for the rest of your life. And I know that 100% because I learned direct response. I started learning direct response marketing when I first came online. And then I went and did something really dumb that I still think is the best thing that ever happened to me, was to go and start a brick and mortar business. Even though I'd already had the keys to the kingdom handed to me in the online world, I went and started a brick and mortar business, lost everything financially. And what got me back and gave me the confidence to be able to start living a nomadic, minimalistic life was that I had the knowledge that I could come back in, apply. It has literally been, I've become my own backup plan because of what I learned about affiliate marketing and direct response marketing.
And you know, every time we engage inside of our group and our community, just when you think it can't get any better, like somebody brings something else to the table, like the mentorship program and Jason and Will, I've never seen so much over delivering in my life. It's like, it's
without
like,
saying,
really,
can I over deliver?
yeah, like, dude, really, what, I mean, at some point the bar's going to be so high we can't find it, but it's fine. I thought of things as you said stuff. Number one, Anna's here, so I'm going to make her blush, but she's
Hey,
I went live with earlier today to talk about this very same thing because we're passionate about it. That's, I dare you to find something that you're passionate about that you can promote, and it might be something more passionate than your own thing. Because right now, if you're scared of your own thing, then that's your first problem. Is you're scared. Is just get over being scared and promote somebody else. Because you're like, hey, I tried and it didn't work out. But Anna was, I gave her credit before, and then I said it right to her face today, and I'm going to say it again. I credit her for that initial setting the tone in the group. That Will and Jason won't let the group get so negative, but she set the tone for being a cooperative by being the first one to really give, to say, hey, this is how I do stuff. And it was amazing. And it was just like, wait, she doesn't see us as her competition. She has an abundance mentality. There's enough to go around. And then it was kind of reciprocity. The next thing you know, Jody was interviewing like the most awesome members, and Anna was the first one. Who was the second one? It was,
we've had some really good ones recently. Who was the second one?
I don't even remember. If you could go back and look. Who was the
I
second
think
one?
it
and
was
the third
you,
one?
wasn't it? No,
I don't know, but me and you were so good. We did it twice. So Anna was like the first member spotlight, and I give her the credit for like she just gave so much value in there for no reason. And then what's cool is she gets picked for a mentor. And what I like about that, one of the greatest marketing stories you can tell is a reluctant hero. Like Luke Skywalker was on some obscure farm raised by his uncle. He didn't know that his real father was the epitome of pure evil. You know, that came later. But he had this dream of wanting to, you know, fly into Rebel Air Force, whatever the heck it was called. I'm not a Star Wars expert, but that reluctant hero, the guy that, you know, Han Solo, he just wanted to go do his thing with his hairy friend Chewbacca. Nobody in that wanted to be the hero, right? It was thrust upon them. And I was like, why me? Why a mentor? Well, you were already so awesome. And so what's cool is she wouldn't have asked for that. She wouldn't have raised her hand, but it was noticed that she was a mentor. And what was so cool is now she's getting to do stuff she wouldn't have necessarily made herself to do, because she's getting in a group and people are asking her questions that she wasn't expecting them to ask her. And yet she's shocked herself with how she's leveled up and answered them. That's just the power of the community. I've never seen anything like it. And
well, what is it? You're always the sum total of those you hang around with.
And we're hanging out with superstars.
My sum total has definitely skyrocketed from hanging out with these people.
That's what I was going to tell you. So your results were 10x in 2 months. Keep in mind, 10x is 1,000% return, but not annualized, in 2 months. And I promise you, we're going to get better. And mine was somewhere between 16 and 17 times to X the investment. Now, I could afford to spend more on ads and scale like crazy. That's the thing. If, you know, no ad spend got me that, what would a little bit of ad spend get me if you know what you're doing? And I got time and money to figure it out. But here's what I would have you consider. And Jody don't even know this. This is eerie. This is that show up so God can show off. Is 2 months ago when we got started in Affiliate Triad. So that's how ground floor this is. Anna, Jody, and I are all founding members, right? I mean, we got in on the ground floor. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely.
2 months ago. That's how long this has been going. And it seems like it's been 2 years. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a good way, like when time speeds up. And what I'm getting at is Jason at the beginning, I don't even remember, he matter-of-factly said on one of his trainings, if somebody would just run a productivity challenge right now, they'd crush it. 2 months ago, I couldn't get myself to do one. 2 months later, I can't imagine not having done this. The amount that I've leveled up in 2 months, just having been in this and exposed, and this ain't my first rodeo. I've been at this a while. Like Anna asked me today how long I've been at it. I said, despite how I look and how ancient I look, I did like have only a poor dad growing up. So I went to college, got good grades, got a job. It took me a while to realize that I was too mean and ornery to work for anybody else. I need to go to work for myself. So it's been about a decade that I've been doing this myself. But I've gotten the most success from affiliate marketing in the last 2 months that I've had in the last 10 or 12 years.
Well, the other side of affiliate marketing is ultimately we're doing a challenge here on double your productivity. And I have mentioned a few times, and Carlton, thank you so much for pointing that out as well, is the ultimate measure of productivity is leverage. You know, where you can do the work once and, you know, then less. It's like pushing that boulder up the hill till it gets to the point where as it rolls down, there's less kind of maintenance to keep it going. So leverage is huge. And there's pretty much no other way of making money online that provides so much leverage. And then added in with what Jason Wilson and Rapid Crush have created with Affiliate Triad, it's like, this is the perfect example of doubling your productivity. I mean, there's an image in the group. I don't know if I could pull it up, but there's an image in the group that Christy Wilson shared because I talked about it on our mentoring call this week. And it is showing a mind map of kind of all the components that are required to be a super successful internet marketer. Now, an internet marketer is really it's an entrepreneur, a product information product creator, a coach, a consultant, anybody who wants to grow their business, whatever business it is, whether it's physical product, digital product, physical brick and mortar business. If you have an internet marketing presence, then you need to actually see this massive image of all the little moving parts that take running a business. So this actual chance to come and really double down on your productivity by taking part in Affiliate Triad with us, with our invitation, and we haven't even got to what we're going to be offering you for coming in with this. But basically, it ticks off so many of those points, the things that I have seen hundreds of people in the last 12 years get stuck on and not be able to move past. The simple things of what is my brand, what is my, however, I can't do this, I can't set up that, all these different elements, the tech, I'm not that techie, or I'm not that this, or I'm not that. It's like all that stuff gets removed to come down to fewer choices of what is the part that you can learn the skill in and stay 100% in your lane and focused on.
And we backed into this again, showing up and just, getting experience and getting, happy accident, right? So I wanted to promote W Productivity, period. Jody wanted to promote Affiliate Triad, period. We realized that the two are like peanut butter and jelly, because what we taught you fewer choices yesterday, there's so many things to figure out. If you start an affiliate marketing by yourself, like most of them melt away and you get fewer choices and you just get to get good at a few things. And ain't that congruent with what we just said? And ain't that wonderful, as we learn to say? Isn't that wonderful? So like, look, over the years, I told you this before, I've had Lead Pages and Aweber and MailChimp and ActiveCampaign and Confusionsoft, and I already had Kartra, but I wanted to consolidate. This gave me the reason to double down and consolidate to something I wanted to already consolidate. I can't tell you how refreshing it was. It was like, another divine sign that like, hey, these guys want you to go to Kartra, and this is your excuse to do it. And I couldn't have made myself get this good at Kartra. Anna did the same thing. Anna knows more about Kartra than she did because she's been forced to double down on Kartra. And now we're all in. We're like, I look, I still love Russell Brunson. I still love ClickFunnels. It's not that I don't, I love a lot of stuff. That's why I pay for all of it. But at the end of the day, that's too many choices. I got to live in congruency with what I just taught you. That's too many choices. Condense the nonsense and get on a platform that, and here's the way I think about it. Remember what we talked yesterday when Jason teaches one way or a few ways and somebody goes, what about the other ways? Well, spend the rest of your life researching all the other ways, but this has worked for me. It's worked for countless others. Maybe you can humble yourself and just figure out you could go do this. So, but why Kartra? Why not ClickFunnels? Dude made $100 million using Kartra. Maybe you already used Kartra. Now, in fairness, Russell Brunson built a $100 million business with ClickFunnels. But
look, ClickFunnels, I've been an affiliate of ClickFunnels for the last 3 years. It's paid a very lovely monthly income for the whole time. But again, the model of affiliate marketing and bringing it into the now of what is the business model of affiliate marketing and how can it be used? Is it an additional income stream for you? Is it a part of your actual online business? Either way, it's not, to me, again, my investment has not been about the making money. It's been about the connection to the source of, like, I can, even though I could send Russell Brunson a birthday present every year and say, it's my birthday too, Russell, I cannot get to him by any means other than tens of thousands of, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And that's the thing.
I cannot get to him. And yet Russell Brunson and Jason Fladlien stand side by side, not only as being roughly the same age, they're both wrestlers, they both come from the Midwest, they've got so many similarities. They've even run promotions together because the two men on this planet who have done more selling through webinars are those two men. They're the ones who just hands down are the most brilliant at doing it. They are peers, but also in all of Russell's book, he quotes Jason because Jason has actually been a huge help to Russell. So I now have Jason answering personal messages to me. I can't do that with Russell Brunson.
No. There was a time I remember meeting Russell and then people going, keep an eye on this guy. He's the smartest guy, because he wasn't Russell Brunson yet. Everybody didn't know him. He was the funnel hacker, but he hadn't, developed ClickFunnels yet. And I got selected to be in War Room, which is the mastermind with Ryan Dyson, Roland Frazier, and all those jokers over at Digital Marketer. And Russell was in that. And I got picked. It was an invitation. I got picked to be in it. And the reason I didn't go is because the main thing was 4 events every year. And I was traveling all over the world running a global engineering consulting business, and I couldn't make any of the events. So what good was it to pay all the money? And I missed because I was, had too many irons in the fire, missed getting access to Russell back when. And so what, right? I mean, it's just an interesting story. I don't mean I'm doomed to fail. Or
well, at the end of the day,
because you knew you were in the presence of greatness when you met him, even though his bank account didn't know it yet.
Yeah, no, but he's also pretty humble as well. But the whole point of sharing all this with you is that Jason is actually running a webinar on Saturday. So what we've planned, we didn't know about this. This is the surprise factor. Basically, the webinar will happen in the morning, 10 a.m. Pacific time. So we'll keep our schedule for Saturday afternoon, 5 p.m. Eastern. So we get to recap what goes on in the webinar and finish off with our going through the book and going through all these chapters. So of course, if you haven't actually put 2 and 2 together, the book author is Jason Fladlien. And we have been part of our whole membership of this incredible community gives us the license to be able to sell this book. So if anybody is considering, well, I don't know what to sell online. I don't have anything to sell online. Literally, the moment you come in and join this, and I'm going to call it a mentoring program. I don't look at it as being a done for you service, despite what Jason will sell it as on Saturday. But you will get the license to sell this book. You can sell it for anything above $9.95. It's entirely up to you.
All the money. They just gave it to us. It's not even an affiliate deal. They just gave it to us.
Yeah, and they give you everything to be able to set it all up as well and pay for that. So there's some incredible benefits with it, but really it gets down to why it is that we're really keen to invite people into our world is because we want to help. Like I have literally tried to create what these boys have put together so many times over the last 5 years, but there are so many components that I was physically not able to do. It takes a guy who's sold $100 million worth of product online and his brilliant technical partner who just knows technology inside and out. I had no chance, and I've tried it. I had no chance. But this is all I've wanted to do for the last 5 years is help people get started with the easiest business model that there is, which is.
That's what I told Anna today. I said, if you ever wanted to help, because she's a fitness guru, right? She's a fitness coach. I said, if you ever wanted to be a business coach, where would you start? Well, you figured that out. I mean, she gets to, for free, figure that out and decide if that's what she wants to do. But just being a mentor, and you do too, you get to step into that role and make it whatever you want. I mean, it's like they gave you this great big sandbox in their house. It ain't even yours. I was like, here's a sandbox in my house. Go play in it, have some fun. If you need anything, let me know. We got Kool-Aid. We got, like, these people are so generous. Like, a couple things we wrap this up because it's 6:32. Believe it or not, I have another challenge starting it starts at 7 o'clock.
Minutes.
Show up at 6:45. And then how many challenges are you going to do this month? Maybe as many as I can. So I would have you consider a couple things. If you think this went well, I think I did, but I'm slightly biased toward me and Jody. We like each other and we like ourselves.
But the challenge isn't over. Our challenge isn't over, but there's an opportunity to come in.
If you've liked the way we pivoted a challenge to an offer and you would consider, hey, I don't know that I have the skills, you could do worse than partner with somebody who can do the front and you handle the back. I mean, Jody and I are going to do this every month. So one of the bonuses we're hinting at is when you come in, yes, you get access to Will and Jason and everything they'll do. But if you sign up with us, you get us. You get this.
As a bonus. But we need to also say that unfortunately the pilot program, I guess it's almost like we came in as foundational members, that price is no longer there. I mean, it is $349 a month.
It has to go up.
Every month. Yeah, it'll go up.
It's economics. It's supply and demand. The value's too great. There's too much riffraff like me will get in there if the price stays low. I just did that. That's funny. So thank you, Anna. She said we're awesome. I agree. So here's the deal is I got to leave you with this because I said this on Anna's call today. I said, how did you find out about Jason? Oh, I don't know. I got this email from him or whatever. Well, you got to understand how much Jason and Will mean to me because I had already bought Amazing Selling Machine, a way to learn how to sell private label products using Amazon FBA fulfilled by Amazon. I know I use too much jargon. And I bought it And then I looked for who the 80-20 of the 80-20 of the 80-20 were. I ran to the back of the room and paid all the money because Pedro talked about you can work your way in or buy your way in. I bought my way in. I bought to get into the inner circle. And as I met the people that were 80-20 of the 80-20 data, like the ones that were selling the most, there was a common theme. They were working with Jason Will and Rapid Crush. So guess what I did? I bought the program I already owned again so I could get access to Jason and Will. And then I paid to get into that inner circle and get to the top of that. I bought my way into a tighter circle, right? And because these circles ain't free, you got to work your way in or pay your way in or a combination of the two. And then that, so yes, I paid multiple 4 and then multiple 5 figures that made me 6 and then 7. And like Perry Belcher said, one of the business partners with Ryan Dice over at Digital Marketing, said, business is writing small checks so you can cash bigger checks. And as you grow, what you think small, what you think big change. So if you realize that 4 and 5 figures can come 6 and 7, then it don't matter how many zeros there are. Now you know the difference between millionaires and billionaires. Billionaires realize it's just more zeros. If I can do this with $100, I can do it with 1,000. I can do it with 1 million, I can do it with 1 billion if I've got this type of scale. And so if Jason has made me that much money and he sends an email, he literally sent an email, and I was not looking to do affiliate marketing, sent an email, says, this is possibly the best offer I've ever made. And he's made some of the best offers ever. You had me at Hello, whatever movie that was, Cuba Gooding Jr. in it. He had me at, this is the best offer ever made. And I don't dispute that. It's quite possibly his greatest life's work. And you got a chance to get at it with some people who are slightly excited about it.
Just like you said in the email that you sent out, we can talk about it till the cows come home, but at the end of the day, you need to have a direct experience. And the direct experience will be more enhanced when you actually have personal guides there to help navigate as well. As brilliant as everything is that they provide, sometimes a little bit of hand holding just to get you started is all you need.
I'm so competitive in a cooperative way. You know how hard I want you to be successful if this is something you choose to do. And hey, timing may not be right for you. It's not a hard sell. I just want you to know, hey, we got this thing, take it or leave it. Shame on me if I didn't tell you. I would make the decision for you. If I hide the offer from you, I'll make the decision for you. But there's abundance, but I tell you, and it's there, and take it or leave it. Lori made it, my lovely bride made this comment. I'm surprised they only raised it $50. I thought they would go at least 500 more since there was so much value, and they knew. I mean, this was a little bit of a pilot run test. It's been so wildly successful. She's right. It should have went up. It should be 10 times that. And I'm sure it will be one day. It would be worth $29.90 a month or $34.90 or whatever.
Well, I mean, it's the direct comparison. Like I said, if you want to work with Russell Brunson, you're paying a minimum 25 grand, even if you could get in. And Jason Fladlien, you know, he already charges $3,000 an hour, which is way too low for his caliber. You know, he should be charging way more than that as well. But basically, this is where it's going to get to, and we've all got access to the brilliance of being able to see behind the curtains. And so really what's come down to is the boys, because we are taking action, they like to reward people who take action, which is why they have rewarded Anna and me and asked us to step up as mentors as well. But they've given us the chance to actually have people come in now. And that is to literally just come and sign up, get in ASAP, come along to the first webinar as a actual member with your own affiliate link to be able to recommend. Because if you pay $349 now, which is per month, you can cancel it on day 29 if it's not right for you. But if you join today, you've got 5 days of recommendation.
Promote this. I hadn't even thought about that. If you join now, you get to promote it on our backs.
Even 2 people is almost like actually paying for your membership, but 3 people puts you into profit because they've upped their affiliate commission to 40% for recommendations. So this is a beautiful business model because it's not just affiliate, it is recurring. And it is recurring, and that's why we're all putting so much extra into the people that we invite and bring into our world, because you join today, you've got the opportunity to invite people to this webinar on Saturday.
That's the mic dropper. That's the one we got to end up right now. I didn't think about that.
I know you have to go.
The cart opens early today, and that means you literally are eligible.
But only us have got, like, we've only been given this exclusive opportunity to get in today through the W Productivity Challenge, purely because we're running the challenge.
Tell them why? Because we took action. That's what I've been trying to tell you. We're the only ones got a card open right now. Why? Because he likes us, because we're special? No, because we took action. And Jody's so awesome. And I'm just riding her coattails. I'm nothing. But I did align myself with the queen of awesome. And here we are.
All right. So I'll put the link into the chat. Otherwise, just reach out to us. And yeah, I mean, Stephen's going to be busy for the next couple of hours, but I'll certainly be around to answer any questions. Today's the day to get in for sure. Get your links to get your, into everything tomorrow. Get your links and then promote. You'll have tomorrow and Saturday tomorrow and Saturday morning to promote people coming to the
card's
webinar.
open till Monday night. You got till Monday night to promote it, right?
Well, you got till Monday night to promote it. They'll be doing a webinar replay, but it's like understanding that Jason's like his lane is webinars. That's where he's made it.
Yeah.
So he converts really highly. You can be paying $349 now and literally be having your membership paid for just by taking
Lori
action.
asked, where's the link? You're going to be dropping that as soon as we're done. Look, it's one thing to call yourself the challenge champion. It's another thing to prove it. I got 5 minutes to get some water and go potty and jump on something that's probably going to last another 2 hours.
Okay. See you later.
Whatever. Bicycle.
All right. So yes, I'm still here and I will pop the link in as soon as I get off. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.